I'm going to reorder the columns of this particular document. And I want to do this in the template so that when I create a new tax file from the template, it already has this document set up for me. To do that, I'm going to go to the View menu and select Reorder Columns. When I reorder the columns in this automatic document, and by the way, Reorder Columns is available in any automatic document, what I have is the preliminary numbers that the client has provided to us that we've imported. And I also have the adjustments for the audit, the review, or the compilation available, which brings me to my book balance. After my book balance, I'm going to move my annotation down because I want my tax adjustments, which gets me to the current year tax balance. Now, as far as annotation goes, if you want, you can keep it between the 2 years or you can move it to the very end. It's completely up to you. But these are the order of the columns that I like to see in my U.S. tax reconciliation document. It provides a really clean look for you. For those of you who are using it right now with columns as they are set, you may also find yourself doing another trial balance document to get from imported balances to book balance. Here, I'm going to do it all in one document for us. So again, I went to View, Reorder Columns. I move the Preliminary and Adjustments column in front of the book balance and move the annotation down a little bit. When I click OK, my columns are reordered for me, and I get exactly what I was hoping for. The imported numbers from the client, the financial reporting adjustments, the financial reporting balances, the tax adjustments, and the adjusted tax balance, as well as the comparative prior year tax balance. Now, not only do we have this information up in the columns available to us, and as I scroll down, we have other information coming, but all the way down at the bottom of this tax reconciliation document, we have a very nice summary of our total assets, our liabilities and equity, net income and loss, as well as the M1, M2, M3 temporary, and M3 permanent adjustments. Now, at the moment, I'm not showing any M accounts, but I do know that there's at least one adjustment that I need to do to facilitate the tax balances prior to export. So if I scroll up, I have some of these other expenses, other deductions. And if I look really close at my insurance, 26I, I notice that I have a life insurance on executives amount of $1,880 this year. Well, life insurance on executives is non-deductible, so I need an M1 adjustment for that amount. To do that adjustment, I'm going to go to the Adjusting Journal Entry screen and click New and specify that I'm going to do a tax federal adjustment. Now, if I leave it on financial accounts, I'm going to have to focus on the account number, which I believe was 558, and then I'd have to create a new account for my M1 adjustment and assign the M1 tax code to it. That, by the way, is the long way, and that's not how I want you to do it. Instead of posting directly to the chart of accounts, with the accounts option, we can click the drop down and choose the tax export code. This misstatement is factual, although it's not really a misstatement. It's a non-deductible item, and I'll just call it life insurance on execs. Now, right now I'm only showing the total amount column, and I am showing the annotation. Typically, annotation is hidden, and you might only see your adjustment laid out like this. I prefer to see debit and credit columns, so I always go to the Customize button and show my debit and credit columns. When I do that, for this file, it is saved, and now I have debit and credit columns in my adjusting entry. With my cursor in the adjusting entry table, I have the ability to go to the View menu, reorder these columns, and add the annotation to it. Many of you might not be aware of the annotation column available to us in the adjusting entry. Again, my cursor has to be in the adjusting entry table to be able to do that, but with the annotation column turned on, when I right-click, I have the same annotations available to me that you see on line items in our automatic documents. So full line annotation, notes, tick marks, document references, manual references, hyperlink references, and even line issues. In the automatic document for my adjustments, those annotations that have references become hyperlinks in the automatic document summarizing those adjustments. Now let's get back to the actual tax adjustment. Again, the type is tax federal. I'm posting to my tax export code, and So now when I click the drop down, instead of giving me the account listing, it gives me the tax export code listing. What I'm looking for here is my M1 adjustment for life insurance premiums on officers. That happens to be M105.8, which I will select. If I'd known that, I could have simply typed it into the number field. And if you recall, it was for $1,880. Now I need to offset that to the tax export code for insurance. And if you recall again, from that particular document, it was line 26.I, and there's my insurance line for the tax. At this point, that's already posted. So if I move back to my tax reconciliation, we can see it immediately updates for that adjustment to insurance, adjustment number 13, and there's the tax adjustments in the total. So the amount that's going to be exported to the tax software is only $2,500. Now down at the bottom, remember, we have our summaries. So in my summary, I've got my M1 adjustment of $1,880, and I've got an increase to taxable net income of $1,880. I also have my M105 and M105E in particular summarized down at the bottom here. This is a great document to reconcile preliminary to book and book to tax adjustments in your files.